The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey is the latest film from director Peter Jackson. Based on the book by J.R.R. Tolkien, the film serves as the prequel to the popular Lord of the Rings franchise. Whereas the original films concern the story of Frodo Baggins and his journey to destroy the One Ring, The Hobbit focuses on Frodo's uncle Bilbo, who is swept up in a quest to liberate a lost dwarf kingdom from the dragon Smaug. Given that the original films collectively made over $1 billion, it's no surprise that people are looking forward to the next installment.
I've sort of been looking forward to them doing The Hobbit ever since they got done with Lord of the Rings. Plus, growing up, The Hobbit was always my favorite book, so I'm quite excited to see it done.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I enjoy the movies much more than the books. I think the books are a little too wordy and like they go into too much detail.
However, not everyone is in a hurry to see the film.
I'm not really that big into the Lord of the Rings films or the franchise. I might wait on it.
I wasn't really that big of a fan of the other ones. They drag on way too long. Like, this extreme, and it's just a lot of shots of the scenery. Very tranquil, and it puts me to sleep every single time.
Though it was originally planned as 2 films, it was decided mid-production that The Hobbit would become a trilogy similar to its predecessor. The move has been met with some criticism.
I think that's not a good idea. I think The Hobbit should have been 2 movies, but it could work as 3 if Peter Jackson limits himself, because normally his movies are so long. And if he shortens them down a bit, maybe he can make a 3-parter.
Well, it always depends on the creator's intention. If he wants to take that move, then so be it, but I generally don't approve of part 1s, part 2s, part 3s anyways. I just don't see really the point of it. I was kind of a Hollywood cheating out of people's money.
The main Lord of the Rings trilogy, the one they made the first trilogy out of, they're all thick, 300 minimum page books, very lengthy, wordy and all that. I read The Hobbit, shorter, more spaced out, easier to read. So, I mean, just the fact that, the Fellowship of the Rings gets just 2 hours, and then The Hobbit gets at least 7. I don't get it at all.
Some have been more open to the change than others.
Despite the fact that The Hobbit is a smaller book than any one Lord of the Rings book, it has a lot of content because it's a children's book, where in Lord of the Rings he may go into detail describing the scene, so it takes up more pages. In The Hobbit he's like, oh, this happens, and this happens, and this happens. Not a lot of description, but you get a lot of content in there. And we all know that, Jackson likes to stretch things out anyway, so I think it kind of makes sense. Not positive it's a good idea, but here's hoping.
The Hobbit will be shown in both 2D and 3D formats. Select theaters will also offer showings at speeds of 48 frames per second, in addition to the standard 24. In one of the film's production diaries, Peter Jackson said that the increased frame rate makes the film look more like real life.
I think it's going to be the same movie no matter what, to see it personally.
From what I've heard, it actually is kind of hard to get used to. Maybe just because from where we've been seeing movies at a lower frame rate.
Jackson said that the reason he did the high frame rate with the 3D is because so many people complain when going to a 3D movie that, it strains their eyes and, they get headaches and stuff. And apparently a lot of that is, supposed to be caused by the fact that, seemingly the shot's coming at you and being projected at you since it's 3D, and it makes it where your brain can sense the frame rate on a higher level, and it can sense the gaps in between the 24 frame per second movie. And so his argument is that at 48 frames, it removes that and makes it more seamless so that your brain's more willing to accept the 3D. I applaud Peter Jackson for his ingenuity and for trying something different, I suppose. It's a shame that, you can't have it consistently the same format all around, but I mean, that was sort of expected whenever he announced it, and most theaters can't even do the high frame rate.
The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey opens in theaters on December 14th.